How we doing, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Getting Jiggly. I'm Will, and today we're tracking the heat. We're diving into, well, the people's buzz. We're tracking the top 10 board games that, well, shot up the ranking on Pub Meeple from December of 2025 to January of 2026. Now, this is the momentum list, so it's just the games that people have really been ranking and been moving up the list. If you want to watch the top 10 video for January of 2025, that's going to be a separate upload, so make sure you subscribe. That way you can watch that when that comes out. These are the games that, well, everybody's logging and playing and talking about right now on Pub Meeple. Whether it's a new Kickstarter delivery, a massive reprint, or just a game that's catching fire again, these are the movers and shakers from last month. So that said, let's go ahead and start getting them counted. At number 10 is Grand Austria Hotel. This is a strategic dice drafting game where you're trying to turn your small cafe into a prestigious hotel. The core mechanic is a brilliant dice pool. You roll a handful of dice, and their value determines which actions you can take, like preparing rooms or serving strudel to guests. The hook is the turn order. It uses a snake draft system, which is where you go all the way down to one end. The person at the end gets to take two actions before it comes back to the first player again. But it's very satisfying when you can snag those perfect guest combos. Why the buzz? The buzz for this one is becoming because of the Let's Waltz expansion, and the deluxe upgrade packs just hit a major restock in retail. For a long time, the upgraded components were hard to find outside of the original crowdfunding campaign, but now they're hitting wide availability again, and people are finally getting their copies to the table, realizing just how crunchy this hotel management sim really is. At number 9 is Sweetlands. So this is from the same team that brought us Aqua Garden. This is a very heavy Euro disguised as a candy-coated dream. You're building a city of sweets to impress the kingdom and become their new ruler. Don't let the cute art fool you. This is a brain burner. You're managing a shared infrastructure where your workers get more efficient as the game goes on. The hook is that you have to balance your own engine while utilizing the roads and buildings your opponents are constructing. Kind of like Brass Birmingham. Why the buzz? This is purely due to fulfillment hype. The Kickstarter copies started landing on doorsteps in late November and December, and now in January, the second printing pre-order campaign is going live. With the initial wave of positive reviews from backers, it's driving tons of FOMO for everyone who missed the first boat. At number 9, we have Obsession. This is the ultimate Downton Abbey simulator. You play as the head of a failing aristocratic family in Victorian England, trying to restore your reputation. You'll renovate your estate, host whist tournaments, and manage your deck of gentry cards. The hook is at the servant mechanics. You can't just host a fancy dinner if you don't have a butler to serve it, and a valet to attend to the guests. It really drips with theme. Why all the buzz? Well, they're in the final stretches from the Victorian Big Box Kickstarter. Production updates dropped in January, confirming that this massive storage solution and the new rules compendium are finishing up at the factory. Backers are getting their address verifications, which always spikes the excitement and play counts as people prep their shelves for the new arrival. Coming in at number 7 is Frosthaven. This is the behemoth sequel to Gloomhaven. This is a cooperative tactical dungeon crawler where you lead a band of mercenaries in a frozen outpost. You're not just fighting monsters with signature card play system, but you're also now building the town, crafting items from loot, and dealing with seasonal events. It's a lifestyle game with hundreds of hours of content. Why the buzz? Well, it's actually got a digital physical game adaptation that is now releasing called The Legacy of Algox, with the content update on January 22nd. Whenever the digital version gets a major patch or new content, it reminds everyone that they have a 30-pound box sitting on their closet and they rush to get the physical campaign back to the table. Or they may be raiding the digital game. Both work just fine on Pub Meeple. Coming in at number 6 is Scythe. This is an engine-building area control game set in an alternate history 1920s Europa. You control a faction with unique abilities and giant mechs, but strangely enough, it's not really a war game. It's about efficiency, farming, and threatening combat rather than always engaging in it. The hook is the player board's actions. When you take a top row action, you can often pay to take a bottom row action, creating these, well, satisfying combo turns. Why all the buzz? Well, believe it or not, 2026 marks the 10th anniversary of Scythe, and the community is buzzing with anticipation. Stonemaier Games has been dropping hints about the anniversary celebrations and potential new promo content. That milestone has a lot of people dusting off their copies to see if it still holds up a decade later. Spoilers, it does. At number 5, we have Star Wars Rebellion. This is Star Wars in a box. It's an asymmetric 2-player game where one player commands the infinite resources of the Empire, hunting the Rebel base, while the other plays the Rebellion, running a guerrilla missions into gaining loyalty and to sabotage the Empire. The hook is that cinematic feeling. You might capture Han Solo and freeze him in carbonite or blow up the Death Star just in the nick of time. While the buzz? We've seen a surge of content creation for this game in January, specifically reviews revisiting the Rise of Empire expansion. With Endor Season 2 dominating the pop culture conversation right now, people are hungry for that rebellion versus Empire tension, and this game remains the best way to experience that conflict on a tabletop. At number 4, we have Great Western Trail 2nd Edition. In this, you're a rancher from the 19th century, herding cattle from Texas to Kansas City. It combines deck building, your deck is a herd of cows, and a rondel movement mechanism where you stop at buildings to take actions. The hook is managing your hand of cows so that when you finally reach Kansas City, you have the most valuable herd possible to ship off by train. Why the buzz? The Rails to the North expansion for the 2nd edition has finally seen a wide retail restock this month. For a while, you could only find the expansion in the 1st edition or it was between print runs. But now that the 2nd edition ecosystem is fully stocked, players are diving back in to add those new railroad strategies to their game. At number 3, we have A Feast for Odin. It's a heavy worker placement sandbox by Uwe Rosenberg. You are managing a Viking tribe and you have over 60 different action spaces to choose from. You'll hunt whales, raid villages, raise livestock, and craft goods. The hook is a spatial puzzle. You have to fit all of your oddly shaped loot tiles into your player board to cover up the negative points and unlock income. It's Tetris meets Vikings. Why the buzz? This is a classic case of the drought is over. The game and its Norwegian expansions are hard to find at a decent price for, well, the last chunk of 2025. A massive reprint wave just hit major online retailers in January, and everyone who's had this on their wish list is finally pulling the trigger. Sitting at number 2, we have Kanban EV. This is designed by Vital Lacerda, and it's a complex Euro where you play as an employee in an electric vehicle factory. You have to manage the assembly line, test designs, and push cars out of the door while all answering to Sandra, the factory manager, who will penalize you for slacking off. The theme is incredibly integrated, and you literally feel the pressure of the workday. Why the buzz? The Kickstarter Deluxe Edition reprint is fulfilling right now. Pre-orders are locking and ships are arriving. There's nothing that boosts the game's ranking quite like thousands of backers suddenly posting photos of their shiny new Lacerda boxes. The anticipation for that February delivery window is an absolute peak. And coming in at number 1 is Arkham Horror, the card game. This is a living card game of Lovecraftian mystery. You build a deck representing your investigator and play through a narrative campaign facing down eldritch horrors. The hook is the customization and the story. Your choice in one scenario ripples forward, causing trauma or granting you new tools in the next. It is arguably the best narrative experience in a card game. Why the buzz? The new cycle has been dominated with Fantasy Flight Games' announcement for the new Chapter 2 core set. They just revealed that a major detail in January about the new era of the game, plus a brand new wave of investigator starter decks. The community is going absolutely wild speculating on the new cards and changes, driving everyone to play their old copies again and waiting for the new goodness. And there you have it. Those are the top 10 games making waves from December to January. A lot of heavy hitters and returning classics on the list this month. I want to know, which of these games are you currently playing? Are you prepping for the new Arkham content or finally building that Candy City in Sweetlands? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, if you really enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. That way you can catch the next one. Till next time, peace.